What's up, everybody? So, welcome back to the Swift Podcast. Today, I am bringing on a very special guest. Met this young man a while ago, and since then, he's had a good spot in my heart. I am bringing Hustle Habib on the Terry. I might have butchered his name, but young man is owner and head strength coach of Fluid Motions, and a dear friend of mine. I've been seeing his work for the last couple of months, years, and I've seen a lot of growth in him. So, it brings me great pleasure to introduce you to Habib. Habib, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that intro.
How you feeling, brother? Sorry for butchering your name, but
Pretty good. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. How have
so
you been?
I'm good, man. So talk to me. We've been through this pandemic. How are things going for you? I feel like the pandemic has changed you quite significantly from what I've been seeing. So correct
Uh,
me if I'm wrong, but I think this was probably a good thing for you.
yeah, no, most definitely. Most definitely. And we definitely talked about this sometime earlier in the year, um, earlier last year. But
Yeah.
yeah, the pandemic has definitely changed me in a way more so just has kind of kept my head on right as far as like what it is I want to do.
Okay.
Allowed me to continue to focus that what it is I want to do, how I want to do it. Um, and I want to be able to present it so I can better reach people, better help people,
Good.
especially with this craft that we do. So
Absolutely.
it's allowed me to be like in that creative space to,
Awesome, man.
think about it and elaborate on it.
Time to shine. So, for those of you who don't know, and I don't, this is something a lot of people don't know, but I know you well enough to know everything that you've been through and so forth. But give everyone an insight on Fluid Motions and what you're all about. Let's hear it,
So
baby. Let's hear it. I love the new logo, by the way. I meant to tell you that. It looks fresh. I
appreciate
like it. It's swift. But yeah, let us hear it.
it. So, Fluid Motions, we're a strength and conditioning facility located in Trenton, New Jersey. We are we have been born from a garage, right? A garage that has turned into a strength and conditioning facility. Although we are a strength facility where we work on a lot of like therapeutic interventions that help assist in what it is we're looking to help our clients achieve, whether it's like power, strength, stability, speed. How can we use kind of these interventions to not only like help you get stronger, faster, help you achieve those goals, but also keep you and try to reduce you from reduce your risk of injury.
There it is, right there, right? That key component that, first off, Trenton makes the world takes. You and I both grew up in Trenton, and we're just
Sure.
shining away. So we'll put that out there. And Habib's been really good about promoting that as well. But one of the biggest components that I admire and truly emphasize with a lot of my clients, but even admire with you, is injury prevention. We don't really think about strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
It's kind of overlooked and it's kind of underplayed a little bit. And I know a lot of the work you've been doing is very corrective exercise, a lot of fluid motion and so forth. But one thing I truly respect about your work, and not many people do, and this is why I said our topic is going to be behavior
Mhm.
change, right? Is I've seen some comments about what they do when they show up to fluid motions. What is your client's purpose, and what you as a coach require them to do to work with you? I want you to share that too, and then we'll dive deeper into it.
What I like require from them is really an open mind, right? Because like you had mentioned, it's not something that's typically kind of expounded upon, or like it's not typically um, touched on, right? So you have to come in with an open mind, and what I expect from them is to be able to slow down in a sense, so they're able to pick up a lot of the finer details of what it is I'm trying to give them that'll help their performance. So, I'm looking for things like that, an open mind. I'm looking for hard workers. I'm looking for students, people that actually really want to learn and pick up what it is I'm looking to give them. Because I don't really want to be a coach that's telling you what to do all the time, as opposed to a coach that gets you to just think in a different way. And by thinking in a different way, it's going to help change your behavior and change just not like surface level stuff, but like more long-term things such as patterns and whatnot. So that's really what I'm looking for and
And
work on.
and I think that's the beauty of it, right? As coaches and even in the therapy side, can we change behavior and can we instill that communication asset? I've seen a lot of your videos, I've seen the content. I think that's one of the key components of that. So let's dive into it. So corrective exercise, right? You and I, bread and butter. I left. strength and conditioning full time because of my passion for corrective exercise. I'm
Yeah.
in physical therapy right now, and I know there's future sights of you for the career path. So what about corrective exercise that you truly like, right? So in strength and conditioning, we know for a fact you load someone, you get them sprints, you get them going, but there's a different joy in functional movement. There's a different joy that you get from corrective patterns because of the correlation it leads to performance overall.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
bread and butter, right? So we know that. So tell me what your true passion is, right? It's corrective exercise. We talked about that, but like, what do you really enjoy about it?
What I really enjoy about it is the complexity of, kind of creating motion, right? And that's how I
Yeah.
came up with fluid motions. And in order for you to create as much motion or force as you can, it's going to start at your joints, right? Because that's where all the rotation is occurring. So, trying to like get people to think about how do you get your full range of motion, right? How do you find your balance? In order for you to get that range of motion, you have to find a balance, right? And then how do you get that balance? You have to figure out how to strengthen your muscles in a way where they find that homeostasis, right? um, so it's figuring out how to like tap into more than just muscles, right? Like tendon health, you're looking at ligament health, you're looking at again, if you're looking to change patterns in a way, you're looking at a lot of neurological things, right? Slowing the tempo of things down to further elicit change, and at a faster rate actually. So now what you do is more intentful by each rep, right? Each rep is worth a lot, but it'll cost you less in the long term. So yeah.
Break that down right there. Break that down and simplify that for someone that has no idea on what you said to them. I think it's a key component. I get it, right? I'm with you.
Right.
I feel you. So
Right.
break it down simpler. Tell them exactly what you mean by that. Because I think, listen, guys, tune into this conversation, tune into the next piece real tightly, and tell them what you mean by that.
So really, in the simplest way, like what they say is spending time under tension, right? The more time you spend holding yourself in a position, the more gains you'll be able to attain. So that's like the simplest way I could break it down
And
without.
that's a key component. So for those of you who are listening, right, and you don't realize is we always talk about getting the most effective workout in. In my previous episode, we talked about overload and how a really great athlete overloaded himself to the point of exhaustion on a constant basis, and boom, out for a month, just like that. Why? Because it was the mindset we have. And even then, the things that we're seeing today, and part of the reason why I started this was we're seeing an influx on social media of all these fitness experts. Everyone knows what they're talking about, right? You can't coach anyone anymore. You really can't. You can't
Right.
unless they really come to you. You can't go out there and help someone else out because they know what they're talking about. They're better than you. They've seen it on YouTube, and so it may be. So we start this progressive overload, and we constantly destroy our joints, and we just boom, 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 quick reps out, quick reps in. But no one spends time under tension. You want to lift the heaviest object, right? You do a 1 rep max. Great, you lifted 500 pounds, but did you spend enough time on that? Did you really get it?
And
So
that's the
what he
easy part.
yeah, and that's to us, it's easy, right? So, and here's the beauty of what he just told everyone is time under tension, right? We spend time under tension for optimal gains. So if you get us both in a realm of he brings you an athlete that spend a lot of time on tension, one, injury prevention, right? Guys aren't going to get hurt, but
Yeah.
also they're going to have the same output of performance, correct?
Yep.
So have you seen that? I know you have some great guys you've been coaching. I know you have some great athletes on the field, and I've seen some of their work, and I've seen them play. So what has that done for you as a coach? Seeing the output that you've now gotten from your creations, right? You're spending time under tension. You're taking care of the joints. We talk about that. Not many coaches care about the joints as much as they should, right? We
Yeah.
neglect those components. So talk to them about performance. Has it really correlated? And do you think it's significant, right? I
Has
know
it?
it is, but we're talking we're
Has it?
talking
Yeah.
about people that has it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, the results are actually crazy. That's the most exciting thing about it is because you're looking at those fine, minute details, and this is what I try to get people to understand. You don't need that much space, right? In order to elicit a significant change, and this is what I try to get my athletes to understand, right? Because the results these guys are seeing is. I have somebody come in, they have no idea how to squat, and they don't know the movement pattern, or they don't know how to be in a wrestling stance that is going to withstand, help keep them in good position the entire wrestling match, or it's a football position they have to hold, or not hold, but just be able to run through in a more efficient manner. So the results these guys are seeing is kind of crazy. They've been able to just change their pattern in a way that is now like more efficient for them. These guys are jumping a little bit higher with less effort too, a lot less effort. That's what's really most important. They're doing these things a lot more effortlessly.
That's awesome. And I've seen his work, and I'm not going to say we're fluffing you, but I think it's pure facts and it's pure science at this point. Time under tension, you're recruiting the most amount of muscles, you're getting off performance, but then it's your coaching technique. And what I truly admire about the programming that Fluid Motions puts out there is the behavior change you see in his clients, and the fact that you get some high-end athletes through those doors. And you get a lot of great gifted people to work with, which is a blessing, right? Not many of us have that luxury, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that we can take a advanced athlete that you know for a fact that could probably go all the way into the professionals and like, you know what, stop. I need to spend some time sitting in the squat and engaging every aspect and then just stay there. And they're looking at you like, what the hell is this? This is boring. I don't want to do it. And that's the first mindset they have. Like, this is pathetic. Like, come on, dude, give me some weight, give me some iron. But
Yes.
as a coach, you're like, no, stop. This is what I want you to do. And I think that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
And then they start to buy in. And I think that's how you really get their buy-in, right? And the buy-in is the key success for a coach to be. And I think as a young entrepreneur, your buying in is growing. So what else are you doing for yourself to continue to elicit that behavior change in clients and get them the results we want? Because I've seen it, right? We've all been there.
For sure. I think most importantly, practice, man. You gotta like practice what you preach, right? Like, especially if you want to um, further reach somebody, right? Like, you got to put yourself in the shoes of what you even want them to do. And based off a lot of like my experiences, I wrestled at a Division 3 level, so kind of just going off of the things I did and weren't able to do. I'm just really going off that as well, in addition to the practice. So that's
No,
really like
I
very
didn't know
helpful.
you wrestled. When did you wrestle? Did
Yeah.
you?
So
I
yeah.
thought you were a soccer guy. I thought you played soccer more, no?
So yeah, I played soccer for 16 years, all the way to my sophomore year
Yeah.
in high school. Um, but I had started wrestling, so I wrestled my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
I wrestled for all 4 years in high school, and then I eventually just kind of that's where I switched, flip flop, and transitioned from soccer into wrestling. So I finished with
Interesting.
wrestling about my sophomore year of college.
So, do you think wrestling was one of the key significant impacts on why fluid motion exists,
Oh yeah,
of how the motions are? So, for again, wrestling is a under the radar sport.
yeah.
Not many people play, right? We know our common theme. So, give us some background on wrestling and what do you? I truly now that I know,
Hmm.
right? I didn't know this until today. Now
Not
that
a
I
lot of
know,
people know.
and like there's a light bulb that just went off for me instantly. That
It's a
makes
lot of
sense.
things people don't know.
So, so give them some background on wrestling. What and how it developed. I think wrestling, hands down, probably developed you as an individual. It humbled you really quick, right? Because of what you have to put yourself through. So give them some insight on that for sure.
Yeah. So wrestling is a combat sport. A lot of people don't recognize it as that, or have a hard time recognizing it as such, but it is a combat sport um, that teaches you a lot about strength, the true definition of strength, right? Control, balance, coordination. What does that mean? What is that in relation to like the ultimate athlete in a sense, right? So you're thinking about different positions you end up getting in, and this translates across like any other combat sport you can think of: boxing, um, Muay Thai, any type of mixed martial arts. You really want to think about how, one, it is important to be strong in the sense that you're very stable, but you also want to know how to be loose as well and kind of free flow, right? And kind of goes back to joints, right? When in these combat sports, angles and joints become very important in order to be a more of not only of efficient mover yourself, but to really take whoever it is, your opponent, down. So when you think about, in hindsight, when I'm thinking about movement and muscles and how things work, it kind of all makes sense about, especially just the direction and what I want to like teach athletes and get through to people as far as what is important, what you should and shouldn't focus on.
So you briefly touched on your definition of strength. So for me, my definition of the strength, all right, and we're gonna kind of go back and forth on
Mhm.
what definition. Again, there's no true definition. People can put a label on it.
There's
You can
no
put it in
true.
Webster dictionary, but there's none. So me, personally, I think strength is, and just with my career path being in strength and conditioning and physical therapy, I think is being functional. Okay,
Mhm.
mentally being capable of doing that. But basically, I give you an external force, and internally, you have everything to recruit you to pick it up and get it going, but be
Yes.
functional with it. And I think what you're doing is very similar to that, right? So your definition of strength is, and we talked about wrestling being a component of strength. True strength is controlling your body,
Yeah.
and I think that's where
Me.
that's it, right? And that's my go-to and my bread and butter of like what I believe strength to be, and that can lead to performance. And I think in fluid motions, you're teaching that. You're teaching these guys to hang tight for a sec. I'll be right back. Stay there for 5 minutes. Can you hold
Yep.
yourself up? Can you
Channel
do
this
this?
energy.
No, can you do it? And then what destroys the industry, and not say destroys, right? The industry is booming right now, but what kills it is forgetting that component of strength,
Yeah.
right? How many people do we know that you see on Instagram, on YouTube, that are putting all this nonsense out there of
Yep.
loading tissue, loading that, but your client can't even squat right, body weight.
Right.
Your client can't even sit in a base position and maintain that, or they can't do a push-up.
Yep.
So why? That's the question I have for all those strength coaches that are listening right now, and everyone that's going to be continuing to listen. Is I want you to look at this young man's content and look at what he does for his athletes. I see a lot of weird shit. I will say that some of the stuff looks like, what are you doing, dude? But then
some
it
some
makes sense to me, right?
unorthodox, but it makes
Yeah.
sense because rational. If you talk to me, I can rationalize with you.
And I think that's the beauty of it. And he said it right there to you. He gave you what every coach should be able to do. So if I come up to you, or he comes up to you saying, "Hey, why are you doing that with this client?" and you can't rationalize with me with good sense, you're doing something that I don't believe in.
Mm.
There's a bunch of content out there, and I remember seeing this video. So you know, we'll touch base on perturbations. And this young guy was on a
Mm.
stability ball with the kettlebell, swinging the stability ball in circles on a single leg stance. And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Because I
Extra.
want to teach." Right? Pure definition of extra. Is that needed?
Not at all.
All right. So let's talk single leg stance. How I would coach single leg stance versus, I think you and I do it very similar, right? Put
Yeah.
them on a pad,
Hmm.
put your leg out there, and let me just do some delta tests. But can you hold it there? I
Yeah.
don't need gravity and a kettlebell swinging around you on a
And on
ball
top of
to
that,
teach
yeah.
you stability, right?
Yep.
So to simplify it is a key component, right? Don't be extra. Keep
Hmm.
it simple. Keep it simple. Stupid has been existing for a long time. I think we're doing a great job of promoting that, and I think that's where our foundation is of corrective exercise.
For
Although the
sure.
things are although the things are unorthodox, the reason why they're unorthodox because they're overlooked and they're not educated enough on,
Not enough.
right?
Yeah.
Where you and I see it, I'm like, wow, that's pretty wild that he could put it that way, and he put that athlete there. I'm gonna steal that real quick, and I do, right?
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of our business is I learn from you, you learn from me, and
You learn
vice
from me.
versa.
Yep.
And there's other things that are overlooked, but to the unknown eye, what you're doing is that's just weird. Like, why is that
Yes.
strength?
And this is why you need a really open mind. I keep saying this.
And
A very open
goes
mind.
right back to what I truly admire about his work is that open mentality that his athletes come in the door with. But it's not about the athlete here; it's about the coach in front of you. We talked about this in the previous segments before about, does your coach teach you enough to really buy into the programming? If I walk into his garage, his gym right now, and he puts me under I'm gonna believe everything he says. Why I already know this young man, knowing that he might know more than I do in certain aspects of it. So I'm like, yo, take me with you. And
Let's go on this journey.
that's it. Let's do it. Let's do it together, right?
Yep.
And I think that's the beauty of the coaching style. So where'd that come from? I know I don't know a lot about your background, but I can see certain aspects of it of how
Where
the
did
upbringing,
where did what come from per se?
your ability to take control
Um,
of those, and your, I guess more so your communication skills, right? I think it really comes down to is, are you communicating effectively? And I know I know the science is there. I know you've studied significantly. I know you're reading a lot, but this goes past education. This
oh,
goes past this
for
goes
sure.
past, right? So what do you think has led you to that ability?
Exposure. Exposure, man. Exposure and some really good mentors. I can't thank them enough. If they ever watch this, shout out to them.
I hope
You
they
know, I
watch it
just
for your sake.
nah. Hopefully they get it
No,
gets to
no,
this gets to them
that's
soon.
good.
But I just spent a lot of years just like laying low and just watching, observing, asking questions, and then practicing it and like rehearsing it in my mind and replaying it and just thinking about it, just figuring out how I could be a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. So I just a lot of that because I really enjoy this and I
That's
think
awesome.
this should be fun for everybody. I think this is like literally the freest way of like healing yourself
Absolutely.
medicine wise through exercise. So this just a lot of practice and mental.
And I think the beauty of it, if you're watching this video, is when he said this should be fun, the smile on his face that kicked in, is he tells you that he's having fun while he's doing it, right? And
Yeah,
that's
for
what you
sure.
want. You don't want a boring coach. But I remember in one of my previous episodes, the first episode that I'll be launching, we talked about one thing. We talked about your coach. So I've been coaching since 2009, all right? We're in 2021 right now.
Yeah.
And you started, well, when you start, what would you
Dang.
say?
Started what year am I in? 2021 right now. It's still
Yeah.
crazy. to me.
He's still a baby
Um,
for you guys don't know.
uh, I would say around like 2016.
Right. So a
2016.
couple years after me. So when I started PT school, this young man started coaching. The difference is, for those of you who know me personally, you know from 2009 to where I am today, I went from that one AAAI certification that I got in Lambertville at Gold's Gym to holding a doctorate today. And I can tell you for a fact, just knowing this young man for the last year, it might not be a piece of paper that he has, but the knowledge and education he's given himself from self-studying and evidence is huge, because I can see it in his delivery of A, where he is as an entrepreneur, and B, as he is coaching when he's talking to his people and what mindset he wants his athletes to have. So what we talked about, and we can tangent off this real quick, is we
Yeah.
talked about the coach, meaning if you were working with a professional and that professional is the same professional that he was when he first started to where he is today in 2021, you better fire him ASAP.
All right, find you a new one.
Get you a new one, right? And as much as people are going to hate me saying this, I think that's why we do what we do. We're outspoken for a purpose, is to remind people that there is better out there if you're not getting the best,
For sure.
right? You're easily replaceable. But since 2016 to 2021, you're continuing your education, you're getting more certifications, you're learning, and you're expanding. I've done the
Yeah.
same thing. So we're not celebrities, you and I. We really are.
We're just
Know
humans trying to evolve.
we're just trying to evolve, right? And I think that's where, as a coach, people forget. As coaches, we forget we also have to evolve if our clients want to evolve.
Yeah.
And do you find that for you when you're working, is as you're evolving and as you're learning and you're implementing what you learn? So knowledge is power, but it's true power when you implement it. Are you, as you implement, do you find that difference in your clients?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Because it's like, again, it's like when you put it into practice for yourself,
Yeah.
and it's kind of crazy. Like people, I don't want to sound cliche or anything, but like it gets personal or like spiritual, right? Where when you practice it yourself and you take it in, you're able to better dish it, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like better dish it in the sense that when you throw it out there, they're gonna catch it and it's gonna connect to them, and you're better just able to relate. So just doing that, it makes a huge difference as well.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you said that, because I think one of the biggest things people have to realize today, and me and him are both about to educate you all, is just because there's 15 titles after someone's name, and they have all, like, again, my name could spell out with 15 different certifications. All right, you've seen my
Yeah.
bio. I thought when I was a young hotshot trainer, the more certifications was the best thing for me.
Mm.
No, it's not true. I can tell you from those certifications, I've used three main certifications: my doctorate, my strength and conditioning specialty, and my corrective exercise specialty. And the rest are just there. So it's not about the amount of titles we have. It's about implementation, like he said, right? What
Sure.
you learned, have you applied it, and have you continued to applying it? And then practice. I think that's your key component. I've heard the word practice out of your mouth like 7 times today.
For
And I think
sure.
that's something that and that's it, right? You're in the profession, you're practicing every day.
Yeah.
You're in the profession, you practice every day. So we'll talk a little about your training routine for you. I know you got to work out. You look fine. You know, you got that body on point, like caveman,
Appreciate
Bravo
it.
body goals. And I look
Hey, we
like
still got our ups and downs
that.
over here, man. Ain't nothing
So,
peachy rosy.
so with your programming for yourself, what's your program look like? What are you
Um,
doing for yourself?
Programming, it really starts with, again, joints. I'm looking at lack. Where do I lack? And then me personally, it also, and this is the mental aspect of my training I have to put into play, right? It can be difficult because what I train for is very different. I'm training to manipulate my tendons, right? So a lot of that requires a lot of patience on myself.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of intensity and focus that goes into it, because what you'll tend to see is very quick and significant changes,
Yeah,
the more you tune in, because again, it's a lot of neurological things going on. But again, it starts with joints, um, some mobility work. Once I'm finished with the mobility work, I got to capitalize on it with strength work to just help me load those joints, load those new ranges of motion that I had just acquired, right? As much as like mobility work is really helpful, you do need to load the joints with some heavy weight.
absolutely.
So I'm looking at that, and then I'm also correcting like a little bit of my breathing pattern, right? Like just figuring out like how I could better utilize my diaphragm, to just take in and optimize my O2.
Man, you just opened up a new can of worms right there with breathing pattern, and I think everyone's looking at you saying that like, what the hell did he just say?
Yeah.
And it's because do you personally see that happening with other coaches and other people as they're teaching? I know for me in my current profession, we have to utilize it quite significantly. But I can tell you, 4 years ago when I was a trainer and going in strength and conditioning, I don't think I've emphasized breathing enough.
Yeah.
So right, and that's why I say people are looking at like 10 heads right now. It's like, what do you mean by breathing pattern? So tell them what you mean by breathing, and why do you think that the diaphragm is a big significant impact on these things?
It's special, right? And this is probably why like not a lot of people like trainers have like used it, because it is very detailed. It gets into how can I expand my lungs, how can I take in as much oxygen as I can, right? When you are expanding, there's a lot of like muscle orientation that's also occurring, right? Like your muscles eccentrically orient where they kind of like relax a little bit, and they concentrically orient when they like get really strong and tough, right? um, Learning how to flow back and forth between those states. And this is what breathing can actually help you do. People don't know how simple but complex something such as breathing can be.
Absolutely.
So, and it does kind of affect, your gameplay. Are you breathing like up and down through your shoulders, or are you breathing through your belly mostly and not into your lungs? And then you see how that kind of translates from youth all the way into like, the
Adulthood.
elderly populations where,
Yeah.
now these people are stuck in this pattern. So it gets nuts. It's crazy. I love this.
Awesome. Hey guys, we're gonna take a quick break, so we both get a breathing break, and we'll be back shortly. All right, so we're back, well rested. So Habib has enlightened us to new levels of breathing, to corrective exercise, and just again the passion in his voice and the work he's put out there has been truly amazing to see. So with that, he's a young entrepreneur, has his own business, and I think he just skyrocketed recently. Just the pandemic put him in the right position, I personally feel like, and I've seen his work, and it's been significant. So tell him, I want you to give me 3 tips for someone that's a young entrepreneur in your show, and a young strength and conditioning coach. And I know you've learned a lot of great lessons from mentors. Your 3 big tips for someone that's in your position or trying to be in the same position as you today,
Hmm.
or even
uh,
your tips for your clients. Something. Live
three
them, live 'em some more knowledge, right?
three biggest tips would be to believe in yourself, number one. Um, Believe in yourself, practice, and do your research.
There it is. There it is. I think number 2, 3, and 4 are key. And I think here we go. If you look at what fluid motion does and what he does and what we as strength and coaches want to do, just forget about what he does and what I do. But in general, what the population should be looking into and what our industry should be looking into is belief. Have you as the coach gave enough belief to the client or the patient to really do what they want? Do they truly believe in you and themselves? And if you haven't, listen to the man. Believe in yourself, right? Number 2 is practice. Practice what you preach. I think you've practiced in your programming. We're better about it. I'm getting better about practicing what I preach and so forth. And it's not just at fundamental levels of exercise and so forth, but the small little things like sleep, hydration, nutrition, all those things that matter the most. I had this conversation with a young, right? I had a conversation yesterday with a young man at a barber shop, and I looked at this kid. I was like, bud, don't sit like that. Your back's going to hurt. And he goes, what do you mean? I was like, listen, when I was your age, I had my gym teacher tell me to stretch every day. And I said, nah, I'm 13. Get out of my face, coach. And here we are today where I'm hitting 30. I'm like, damn, dude, my back is sore. I'm waking up.
I had the damn stretch.
I wish I started doing that then. So practice what you preach. Absolutely. And for you young bulls looking out there, it's key. And I think you're doing a great job, especially with the people you're working with and making sure they're practicing what you preach and continuing to do that. And overall, I think it's amazing to see what you've done. And the reason why I wanted to bring you on is because of that purpose. I know a lot of corrective exercise specialists. I know a lot of people doing what you're doing, but they're not doing it the way you're doing. That's why I wanted you to come on. Meaning, the first thing he said, when you come in, be an open mind. I think corrective exercise, open mind is the biggest thing that you need to have as a human being, not just in exercise, but in general in life, right? But the things that we will put you through are going to be awkward, uncomfortable, and weird.
For sure, yep.
Right? But they will help you to the T, and you can look at the performance that he does with his patients and clients and what they do on the field. I take certain clients in physical therapy where they can't walk and they're running out the door. And I'm like, remember that time I put your leg over your head and you hit the wall and you had to breathe this way and turn this way? And you said, this is stupid, Saqib. Well, you're welcome. It's all paid
right? And I always tell them, I said, you'll thank me later. You'll thank me later.
It might suck, Doric, but the beauty of it is time under tension of your own strength. And that's what I think the moral of today's story was. Practice makes perfect, but I think you go back to the fundamentals is key with anything like this. You go back to the basics as strength and conditioning specialists and coaches of reminding yourself that we also have to do it for ourselves. I could tell you that if I go to work sore or hurt, I'm like, damn, this sucks. I can't do anything. I can't deliver. So we have to practice what we preach, right? So I want to thank you for taking the time on this Sunday afternoon to coming on.
I want to thank you for having me, for sure.
It was a pleasure. It was an absolute delight conversation, and you will be back again, just so you know. I'll put you back out there. And I want to take this moment to give my final thoughts, as usual, to you guys. And I'm looking at a young man here who just established himself as a new career path, entrepreneur. He's got big goals for himself, and you guys will watch. In silence, he moves in silence, and he'll take the world by storm. And he'll come in like a bat out of hell, and boom, here he is today. But the moral of the story is he said one thing to us in the beginning. Pandemic kept his head on straight. I think we tend to forget that as individuals is our focus and keeping our head on right when the things don't match up. Like, you can't go to work tomorrow. What do I do? He said, I'm opening up my own spot. Here's my garage. I got it. Boom. And that's it. That's it. Won't stop, don't stop. And that's the final thought, is making sure your head's on straight every day you get up and making sure you're doing what you enjoy. Because when you do what you enjoy, you're going to have a smile on your face just like this young man had every day. So I thank you again, man. It was a pleasure, and I will see you soon.
Thank you, Doc. All right. See you.